What up, fam? Welcome back to 88-Bit Tech. I'm AJ, and today I've got another macro mouse review for you. We've got a new contender in the macro mouse genre. This one is a wired one with the unfortunate English brand name of Solakaka. The actual model is the SM809, so I'm going to call it SM809 for the rest of this review to avoid using Solakaka. Got the SM809 on sale for $19.73 delivered, or 31 AUD. So pretty good price overall. It was definitely slightly cheaper than the E-Yooso X-39, but honestly not by much. Let me just see how much I paid. For the E-Yooso X-39, I paid 25 bucks. Essentially, you're paying $5 more for a wireless and heavier mouse. If you find this video useful and you want to buy this mouse, please consider using my affiliate link in the description, as it will help the channel out and help me make more content like this for you guys. Much appreciated. The claim to fame with this mouse, its sides are detachable, much like the Razer Naga. You can have like a regular kind of standard mouse with just the back and forward buttons, as well as one additional button for your thumb, and then this side one that has like a shelf. And I actually did use this side shelf for about like 3 or 4 days before I realized that I didn't like it, and I'll get into that later on. But you have several different options of what you can attach to this mouse. Yeah, that's definitely probably the biggest difference to my other mouse that I have been daily driving and I absolutely love. And I made a review on this one as well. And I did add some textured gel inserts to some of the buttons there, and it's worked out really well for me. Does have more keys than the SM809, but this is the E-Yooso X-39. It is wireless, which is another benefit, but it is also a heavy mouse when compared to this one here. Overall, the build quality of the SM809 is, I find it quite nice. It's really light, especially coming from the E-Yooso X-39. Construction-wise, I mean, it's all plastic, there's no metal in it, but overall, very sturdy. I've been using it for several weeks now. I've been using it on my main computer, but also for my work computer. I take it with me to the office. So, and I've programmed some macros here. I work in Excel a lot, so there's a lot of functionality in there. But yeah, quite nice. The braided cable is also nice, and it is 2 meters long. So we'll start off with our control, the E-Yooso X-39. So this one is 126.17 grams. Now we're going to go with my current configuration, and this is the one that I prefer. Let's see how much this is. Obviously the wire is going to change the weight a little bit as well, so it's going to be fluctuating a little here. 86.19, so 86.15. Let's do the math here. And it continues to drop, so 86.12 divided by 86.10. You know what, we're just going to call it 86 because it continues to drop further and further. So at 86.08, 86.02, we're just going to go ahead and round down for this because it's already, we're at 86. So the E-Yooso is almost 50% heavier than the SM809 with this particular configuration. If we go for the lightest configuration, so let's take this one off, put this on here. So that, look at that. It drops even further to about 82 grams. So it can go as low as 82 grams. But let's put the heaviest configuration on here and see what that comes out to. Get the shelf on there. Yep, this snaps on. So it adds a little bit more weight there at 87.36, or roughly around 87.4 grams at the heaviest. Still significantly lighter than the E-Yooso X-39. One thing I will say, so these different connections, I never really use this. I mean, I prefer the macro mouse because I have a lot of uses, because I've used it in DaVinci Resolve and I like having the shortcuts on the mouse. So these side panels are quite smooth. This one has that shelf for your hand, if you like that, but personally, I did not. I found that even this one here, the smaller one, it's too smooth. So when you're picking the mouse up to move, the mouse tends to kind of slip out of your hand, which I really don't like. I wish this was more of a textured grip. Like the E-Yooso has like, it's all like it's kind of, it looks smooth on camera, but it's like a kind of a rough sanded texture, and I love it. I love the texture on this mouse. This smoothness to this is just not, you can't get a really good grip on the mouse. I ended up, after like 3 days, I ended up swapping off of this one because this kind of angles out to the smaller one that angles in, so my hand can kind of get more around it to better grip it. The magnets here on the inside of the mouse work really well with these screws. They just kind of pop in there and it stays in there. I've never had an issue with these falling off or anything like that. I really like the honeycomb pattern on the mouse and the fact that it's open because it does allow more airflow. And since I'm using this as an office mouse working 8 hours a day on a computer, my hands tend to sweat on a lot of mice, but this one, my hands stay relatively smooth, so it's not too bad. I like that. And I also I'm not sure if I like the weight yet. I think I prefer a heavier mouse, but if you like a light mouse, then this might be right up your alley. The SM809 has more of a vertical grip rather than a flat grip mouse like the E-Yooso. So what that means is you have less pressure on your wrist, almost like a vertical mouse. Still waiting on someone to release a proper vertical macro mouse. I would really love that because my office mouse that I typically use is actually this one, is a proper vertical mouse. And this makes a huge difference when you're working on a computer for 8 hours a day. Like the relief on my wrist is really noticeable when using a vertical mouse. The slides on here on the bottom of the mouse, you do get 4 rather large slides, and they do provide replacements, which I already have lost. But you get the one sensor here, and this is you can't really remove this, but I did pry it up a bit and just see, and it's a USB port on the bottom of this mouse. So maybe they do have like a wireless version, but currently I didn't see it. Let's go over the sound profile here. You do get 9 keys on the side, the 2 DPI buttons here. You do have the 2 buttons here as well as your scroll. First up, you go to the solakaka.net website to download the SM809 drivers. So once it's downloaded, you just click on and you can go ahead and install it, and you have a couple different options. So you see keys here, so you can map all your keys. There's performance, so this is where you can choose the speeds of different activities that you do on here, as well as the DPI settings for each time you switch, and it's color coded. So currently I'm sitting at 2400 DPI. And let's see, light wise, you have a couple different options. I currently have it set to standard and fixed color, but I'll go ahead and show you the rest of it. You can change the intensity. Let's see what low looks like. Low just shuts it off if you put it all the way to low, but let's go half. You know what, let me turn the light off here and see what this looks like. That's half intensity. Let's go full intensity. So it's a bit brighter. And you can also do a loop color. So this is a standard on loop. You can also do breathing in a fixed or loop as well. So this is all loop. There's also neon that you can change the intensity, pulsation, all that Here's wave. Key reaction, so this just, depending if you press a key, maybe a key on the mouse, or on the, I'm pretty sure it's key on the keyboard, but I have it unplugged right now, so I can't test that out. But anyway, there's trailing. And so I can change it to short trailing versus long trailing. Drag back and forth. Slide. I think this, depending on how I move the mouse, it does different things. Yeah. Yeah. There's yo-yo. Marbles. Flying star. I'm going to keep it at standard at a fixed color. And then there's the macro section. You have a couple different options here. You can actually have, you have an office mode and a game mode. And as far as I can tell, all this does is change the DPI setting, or the stock polling rates and DPI settings for the, between the two modes. Realistically, you can change that to whatever you like anyway, so it doesn't really matter much. Now, like I said, you have quite a few options. There's 16 different buttons here that you can map, including the DPI buttons, the middle mouse button, and the right left click. You can change what all of this does. And let's go with the right. Currently, right now, it's actually set up for office, my office use, but I don't have my office profile here on this computer. On my, this is set to DaVinci Resolve, which I can change later. But anyway, so in the keys, you have basic functions. You can do left click, right click, middle, forward, backward, scroll up, and scroll down. Higher order functions, double click, 3-click, light mode switch, and sniper key. You can change your fire click button. You can just, overall, you can just shut it off if you don't want it. Shortcut is just for assigning an actual key. So you can set this to like, set this as an M key and then just hit OK, or Control M, Shift M, Alt, Windows key. All those shortcuts can be input this way. You can also select a macro that you create. So I have Helldivers 2 has all these things I've already created, and I'll show you how to do that. And it gives you the option to repeat the specified number of times, repeat until you press any key to end, and repeat until the key is released. This one is selected by default, and that's mainly what you're going to be using anyway. But as you can see, I've got a couple different options there. And that's for selecting a macro. You can change the DPI buttons for cycling through DPI, as well as just going plus or minus on the DPI. Report cycle, I'm not exactly sure what this is. I don't think I will ever use it, but there's also multimedia options for media player. You can play, pause, stop, previous track, next track, volume, plus, minus, mute. All of that can be programmed through the mouse, each key. And you also have Windows functions, browser home, favorites, forward, backward, all browser functions here, email, calculator, my computer, office functions. This is really nice, that so you don't actually have to create using the shortcut key. Let's say you want to do copy, you can just select it from here. You don't have to actually use the shortcut method to do that. You can do it, but you also just have the option to select it here. And then there's some advanced functions here, like close windows, show desktop, lock PC, run command, swap windows. So quite a lot of different tools here to let you map your keys. Let's go over macros. So you can select a macro name here, like this is like the the profile that you can use. So Helldivers has all of these. You can create a new profile by clicking this button here and then typing in new profile, hit OK. And then you can also delete, import, and export different profiles once you've created them so you can keep them and move them to other computers. This one down here is actually to create the macro. You can put in a name. Let me just grab my keyboard. I'll call it test. Hit OK. So you can't hit enter on here. Like it won't let you. You can't, and oh, and let's say you hit plus here. You can't just start typing. You have to enter the box and then go in and then type. So we'll do test macro. Hit OK. You can change it to the default delay is 10 or change it to the minimum delay or set your own default. I really like this feature here, so that way you don't really have to, when you're recording a macro, you don't have to do it fast yourself. You can control all the input timings on here. So for instance, let's do record here. We'll do like a Helldivers L-bomb or something, like boom, and we're done. You hit stop and you can see it's loaded all the times here, 22 seconds, except for the release of the control, 10 seconds. Seem to work just fine at that setting. Now, you can go ahead and also delete this very easily enough. Let's say we want to use the minimum delay. We can hit record. And I can take my time when doing it, so and it doesn't matter. Hit stop. You can see it's recorded that everything at 10 milliseconds. You can also record the delay. So let's say we're going to do delay. So it will record how fast you do this. You can see it's all varied. Don't need this macro. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Okay. And once you've created all the macros, you can start assigning stuff. Just make sure that after assigning something, you hit apply, or else it will not work. So you need to make sure you hit apply after every change that you do. After any change you do, you need to apply, or else it'll just sit there and nothing actually changes, including here. If you make a change to a macro, you got to make sure you hit apply. So there's definitely things to like about the software. I will say that it is not intuitive at all. I used this on a different PC that I was testing as well, and for some reason on that PC, it's also consistency is also an issue. On that PC, it would not allow me to program more than 3 macros at a time. So like if I made a macro, you could only map 3 keys to macros, and if you tried to map another key to a macro, it wouldn't stick. It just didn't work. I don't know what was going on. I thought I was gonna do a review earlier, and I was like, what the heck? So I started using it on my main PC, and for some reason on my main PC, I could map every key to a macro. So I don't know what's going on there. All I can chalk that up to is definitely just some inconsistencies with the software running on different PC setups. The macros don't always work. That's one thing that I really liked about the E-Yooso X-39, especially since when I got this, I was playing a lot of Helldivers, and with Helldivers 2, calling out the stratagem codes and programming them here, if you press the button, it will activate the macro. With this one, even with my standard, I usually do 22 millisecond delay because sometimes 10 can be tricky. Even for the E-Yooso X-39, it might not work. It's just inputting the commands too fast. But with 22 milliseconds on the E-Yooso X-39, it worked just fine. So I tried doing that with this. And there were some times when I was playing Helldivers, especially with longer, it's definitely affected by longer stratagems. If you have a longer one, you have to account for the that timing, and it might actually be better for you to use the delay option when programming the macro for it to work properly, because the 22 seconds did not work all the time with every stratagem that I used, because some of them are quite long, but still it should work fairly fairly good, but it sometimes it just wouldn't register it, which is really annoying. Another issue that I experienced on my main PC, this was I don't know what is going on with this mouse, but it's literally the only mouse that I've used that would not reverse the mouse scroll direction. So in Windows, unfortunately, even in Windows 11, I don't know why it's still like this, but in Windows, there's no option to just change the direction of the mouse wheel, like in a understandable way, like going to mouse properties or something. You have to edit the registry file for each mouse. So you find the device path for this mouse, and then you go into the registry files and you change the mouse direction from a 0 to a 1. It's a hexadecimal. So, and that should change the direction of the mouse wheel. Now, for some odd reason, I was changing it multiple times, restarting computers, and it would not change the direction of the mouse wheel. And I know this probably isn't a problem for some people, but it's a huge problem for me because I've always used for a very long time, ever since I started gaming back in the day, I always reverse the mouse wheel since we got smartphones that swipe. It's just a natural thing for me. So since I couldn't reverse it for at least for a while, I couldn't reverse it. It was really annoying, especially at work when I was trying to scroll through Excel files. I'm like scrolling the wrong directions or trying to scroll through programs. It was super annoying. Eventually, I switched it to a different a different USB hub on my computer, and that seemed to have somehow fixed the issue. Maybe it's my computer, but I have to report what I experienced, and this is what I experienced. But it after changing the mouse port, it seemed to work after that, and now it scrolls correctly. The other issue that I have is the RGB lighting. So the only programmable RGB lighting is the mouse pad itself. Super annoying that they did this, but the inside lights in here, there's like a few LEDs at the wheel and then up down here at the base. These just cycle RGB. They are not programmable, which is super annoying. I don't know why they did that, but only the mouse pad is programmable. And I mentioned this earlier, the grip here on the side is too slick. I wish I had some texture so you can get better grip. Using the small version that kind of is in like has a better it kind of curves in, kind of curves down towards the base, gives you a better grip on the hold of the mice, so that when you're moving it around, it's definitely better than the shelf. This guy here, this shelf, I found like my hand was just like, with this, it was just like slipping off every time I picked up the mouse. I just couldn't get a good purchase on it. So definitely recommend using the smaller version for this. So that would be my critique to Solakaka. If you guys watch this review, maybe make a textured version of this side, because that's really annoying. The other issue that I have, and this is maybe not as bad now that I've gotten to use the mouse a bit longer, but there is a bit of liftoff with the mouse. So I don't know if you can see this on the screen here, but it like I am actually on top of this is me floating above the mouse pad. So it does have a little bit of liftoff. It's not too bad. It's not the worst, but definitely noticeable when I move the mouse. Like after a little while getting used to it, I got better at not activating it, but it's there. So I have to report it. It's there. Lastly, it is wired. So that's another con for me. I don't like having a wired mouse, especially at the way my desk is set up. I wish they made a wireless version, but as far as I can tell, Solakaka does not make a wired a wireless SM809. So that's it for the cons. The pros, and this is kind of a personal preference, but it's super light. The super light part, you know, some people prefer heavier mouses, some people prefer lighter mouses. Personally, I'm getting used to the light mouse, but I'll have to see if I go back to the heavy just to see which one is really better. However, I quite like it. I quite like it, and one of the other things that I really like is the honeycomb pattern on the mouse. It's more breathable, so you do get less sweaty palms for sure. Another pro is definitely the option to change your configuration of the mouse, especially for $19. This is a really great value that, you know, if you're paying the Razer Naga and you want to swap out, you know, to different configurations on that mouse will run you 3 to 4 times more than what this mouse costs. And as far as the software, apart from all the cons with the software, especially it not being super intuitive, like it did definitely take me a little while to figure out how to use it, and it's super annoying that you have to apply it every time you change something and it just doesn't auto apply, or you have to click the box and click OK instead of hitting enter, which is what you think you would have to do, or just type right away. Despite all that stuff, the software for assigning features and the different things you can do with the mouse is surprisingly feature packed. You can do so much with this mouse when it works, so 2 thumbs up for me on that. And lastly, obviously, the price is very affordable. Very affordable compared to brand name mice. You're going to be easily paying, like I said, 3 to 4, maybe even 5 times more for a macro mouse that has this many features. But you're not. You're paying $19 US to get this delivered to you. So not bad at all, or 31 AUD. And that's it, guys. So if you do have any questions regarding this mouse, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. You know what to do if you like the video. Please consider subscribing so you can watch more videos that I release in the future. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.